Hello there. Okay. Sorry if I'm out of breath. I was doing something. So, recently I've gotten back into 3D printing and I've been 3D printing this phone coaster holder that I designed. So, initially it kind of looked like this one over here. Really basic. And I know it looks funny right now, but it started off as a cylinder and then I just added negative space into the shape itself. Um, I printed a couple of prototypes and they seemed to work, but I wasn't satisfied with a couple of features. So, for example, let me go out over here. And this is what it actually looks like. A little bit more, where is it? Line type. There we go. So this is the support, the gap, the support. Yeah, we're taking off support. Okay. So this is what it actually looks like when it's printed out. This is just like the visualization of the path that the machine is going to take as it prints it out, right? Um, but so one of the things I didn't particularly like, one, when I made it using PLA Basic, I designed it so that it's slightly bigger than the intended cup, right? So what it does is by being just slightly bigger, I have some gaps here, right here, right here, and right here, which allows it to hold its shape and it will lock itself by pushing back out on the cup from being put in. So because it's slightly wider, when you squeeze and it has those slits on the side that close the space, you put it in and it locks itself into place. So it won't like twist, turn, jiggle, or do much. It's just gonna stay in there snug. Um, but as I printed a couple, I noticed one with PLA Basic, it broke off. And the reason for that is because the connection that I made is a little bit too thin, but with the regular PLA and then PLA Plus, if I set it to strength, it used more material, but it was actually really solid. So, there's some options in that. But this is the one I designed for my brother's truck, and I gave him this one. I haven't printed this one. This was just like a little side thought, because his cup holder has this little opening. I took the measurements. It's about 3 centimeters, like wide and around. So that was just like a placeholder. I need to change that into like a circle. I don't like the boxy shape of it. Um, but this is the one I gave him. And initially the reason that I this particular design, it was really just two shapes and a bunch of negative space. So you had the cube here, and then you had the cylinder, and that was it. And then I just used negative space, like a negative cylinder to remove all the material in the middle, and then a couple of negative cubes to get cut out these slits. And then finally, like a negative cube over here to ensure that you have the space for the charger to actually connect up through. And same thing over here, negative space so that, it has the right amount of space for the actual phone that it's going to be holding. And I gave the prototype to like the client because that's kind of what he is for this. Um, So I actually measured it out. It was like 1 millimeter for the phone, and I have it right here. Like, just grab my ruler and then measured that out. But I made some design changes because I noticed that it wasn't having any retention up here. So it was because these were a little too flat, it would hold it. But if it was very wide, like my brother's, it wouldn't stay in place. And then if it was more narrow, like the one I made for my Nissan, it could hold it, but some shaking would cause it to break apart. Like the phone would fall off, it would rattle. So right now I designed this with a little bit more space, and I even added it in more support up here. So this one's a little bit taller, so you know where it's gonna be at. This is where the back of the phone's gonna phone. The phone's gonna face this way, and hang on, I need to change something because it's making me like think, and not really in a negative way, just think. Um, So right here we have this, and you're looking at it, and it's almost like a little chamber pocket. So this is where you're supposed to place the phone, and it's a little bit wider. I actually could take the measurements right now. We're gonna go to, no, that's assembly. Let's go back, return. Actually, I found a new feature, so I'm pretty excited for that. Because I used to have problems with like, okay, how am I going to design the, what do you call that? There we go. Measure angle. I need, it's eight. That doesn't tell me how much space though. Okay, I need, hang on. Alt Z. You know what? Let's see if I could do this. Nope. Don't want that. I'm gonna go ahead and measure. It won't let me unmeasure it. Okay, measure. Okay, and now I want to measure this to this. It's only giving me an angle of 8.1, but that doesn't tell me the actual measurement. It's supposed to be about 2 centimeters in length. Okay, change plane. And let's just take the measurement. Stop measuring stuff, dude. Yeah, stop measuring it. Return. Okay. So this is about y-axis. So the y-axis is this way. So this is about 1.2 millimeters wide, right? And most phones that I've played with are about, I would say they're actually about 70 or 7 millimeters, right? Because 10 centimeters is 1 millimeter, or 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter, and then this would be 7 millimeters for this particular phone, right? And the whole goal of it is for the phone to notch into that slot and hold it at a proper angle so that when you're on the car, like it's angled looking at you. And actually, that's another thing that I kind of need to check out because somebody else I made a print for, I was chatting with them, and they told me, oh, but I want the phone to kind of be facing me, so while I'm driving, like I can, like it's the camera should be able to catch her as she's driving to wherever she's driving to, right? Because she used an iPhone and it's got FaceTime, so I can understand that. Um, but right now, for example, like if I take a picture, like I'm looking at this right here, ew, my double chin. Um, like you see how the actual thing catches it almost to a different degree than what I have it here, because what I have it right here, it's gonna be kind of almost like, yeah, 8 degrees, I would say. Like positioning wise, this is, yeah, it's got a 44.3 degree tilt, but that's not bad either. So I think I'm gonna print this out because this is I think this is the third iteration. No, I printed three versions of the first iteration. I made one. I printed another two versions for my brother, and then I printed the third iteration with this one. But it came out. I made the space between the two ledges to hold the phone a little bit too narrow, so it won't hold it properly. So this should be the fourth iteration of this little project that I'm doing. And I even thought about it too, because like I'm like, okay, do you really need to get that much material, right? Because for this, I could easily remove like this and then this, but then I'm worried that it won't be enough, so it's gonna like tilt forward and backwards, which it's not that much more material in the grand scheme of things, but it's not the best idea, if that makes sense, if like I'm looking at producing it, like mass producing it, because right now it's only about 131 grams of material, which isn't a large amount of material. Like I think I get one spool, it's 1,000 grams of material, so one spool can make me about nine, right? So it's, no, it can make me eight of those. But I also have to factor in the amount of time that it takes to create one of these. So for example, right now, this one, I'm printing it with strength. It's going to take me about 5 hours. And even if I were to double up on it, like, let's see, C, add another plate, V, 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 V. Yeah, okay, so let's say I'm making, actually, can I do that? I wonder how many I can make in a single. Okay, no. I think I can only make four. Yeah, I can only make four or five at a time. How long would that take? This would take about 1 day worth of printing and 600. Yeah, 55. I mean, but then it's a lot of hours, so I don't like that. Anyways, all right, that's besides the point. It's got errors already, so that means that there's like a path of insertion, or not path of insertion, but like something overlaps, like with the placement of the tool and the trees, so it won't go properly. Because I'm pretty sure the support is overlapping, which is a no-go for most things. Yeah, the support's overlapping into something important, and you don't want to do that. But let's delete this fever dream. Delete. Delete the fever dream and then delete these. Okay. Where was I? Preview. This. Okay. So this is let me add this V4. Vcache. V4. But you know my client, I guess, yeah, he's like, hey, like I want this for work because like at work they're not letting us do certain things anymore, but you can only have it in a couple. I'm like, okay, I can make it for that pretty easily. Um, I came up with this design with like within an hour, and then playing with it or reiterating it took another hour. Or I've been playing with it how long? Like 13 minutes here. Yeah, no, like 2 hours worth of design time. Um, and I'm sure I'm gonna change it up because so one of the things I learned that I'm a little excited for, right? So let me save this real quick before I do anything. Let me set this to print now that I think about it. Let's print that in gray. We're gonna send it to Hope. And then let me see, where is it at? You know what? I'm gonna test that off screen, but funnel saver, huh? MIT fabric chainmail. Oh, that might be cool. Ooh, okay. Huh. I really need to start focusing on the cosplay aspect of having this thing, because I swear I'm gonna make so many swords. Does it move? No. Should it? Yes. No. No problem. Should it? Yes. Yes. No problem. I love that. Um, Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share. Here I could show out a quick I need to organize myself too because I need to actually no storage. There we go. I need to actually take care of logging what filament I have because I keep on getting surprised like randomly when I'm like, oh, I ran out of filament, you know? But it's fine. I just need to get a little bit more organized in that regard. But it's been fun printing. But what I'm thinking of printing is, and this is a thought more than anything. My brother has been wanting like a Hulk for one of his kids, and I'm like, okay, like how big do you want the Hulk? And he's like, oh, like I want it to be huge, like like life size. And I'm like, okay, that's like 6 feet. Even if I make it like super hollow, like it's still gonna be a lot of material. But I just learned that there's this tool in here. Where is it? Let's see. Add. No. There's this tool in here. Add. Where the primitive cylinder? Let's make a cube. Let's make a huge cube. All right, we have our big cube. Um, I can seam. No. Fuzzy skin. No, no. There we go. Cut. And then I could cut to parts. I can add a connector. And I can choose how big the connector is. I can make it big or small. And that means I can create something like, let's say, and this is a working theory in my head, right? So, like, let's say I have the Hulk, right? And I scale it up to size, because it's pretty easy to scale anything inside of the program because, the program will take care of the measurements. You just need to, keep the measurements in mind. So if I have a 6 inch, no, I don't like using inches because sometimes the conversion is a little difficult. But let's say I have a 10 centimeter tall, uh Hulk, right? 10 cm. Biggest 10 cm. Yeah, like a 10 centimeter Hulk in the actual thingamabob, the software. Say I have a 10 centimeter Hulk and I want to make it 100 centimeters. All I have to do is go over here and then scale, and then I can just go based off percentages. So if I want to, like, this is going to keep it uniform so nothing gets distorted. But if I want to scale it, let's say to 1000, I can do that. And now I have a 1000 size, cup holder for my for my mega size car. But either way, that should work in theory with a anime figure or an action figure or even like a 3D design that I commission from somebody. And then once that happens, I can go ahead and start cutting it using the cutter. And once I use the cutter, I can use one, I can make it hollow, so I can make it hollow. And then two, as I make it hollow and I add in the connecting parts, it's gonna make it easier to clasp it together and then add in like I don't know, like not super glue because super glue is acrylic and it doesn't really bind too well with plastic from what I've seen. But I was thinking like burning it and then sanding it and then painting it because I feel like a job like that, especially for like a full size Hulk or person, it's actually gonna take a lot more paint to get it right. Because I think I'd print it all out in I don't know like black or white, like not PLA basic because if I were to leave that in the sun, that bitch is gonna get distorted. But it would be in like not TPU, PLA Plus. I feel like PLA Plus would be a good option because TPU might be a little too expensive. Let me check out to see how expensive is TPU. TPU filament. Oh, it has a sale. That's cool. And I'm spotting TPU off of the top of my head. Like this thing lied to me. Engineering filament. Well, now that's interesting. PLA Tough and PLA Aero. Let's see TPU. Fuck, that's 34. $35 per. Eesh, that's a little expensive there. God damn, 150 for PAPET. This has carbon fiber though, that's why it's so expensive. Do 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 do. I don't understand why anybody would buy support PLA because quite frankly, eh, I've never seen it be worth it, but maybe somebody can prove me wrong. PLA Tough is built to take a beating, withstands repeated flexing, prints that last, color. Where's the stats though? Oh, okay, they're using it for a racquetball. Okay. But is it the ball? Oh, okay, it's the ball and the paddle. Okay. But how long would that last though? Okay, impact strength. Okay. It's a hell of a lot stronger than the basic, that's for sure. It's like what? 8 80.6 to 22.6. That's a based off of the numbers, I would say that's like 3 times more durable. Layer adhesion, bending. Oh, no, it's less. It's a little bit more bendable than PLA Basic. That's cool. Stiffness 240 mm. Heat resistance 61. How hot is a regular day? Okay. How hot is a regular day in the Philippines? That's funny. In Celsius. Uh, really? Okay. Wait, but based on this, then why the fuck would I ever need? Because that's crazy, right? It's 50 degrees Celsius for the bamboo plastic basic. Other than the impact strength, where like it stays durable, like the actual heat resistance is pretty off the charts. Because like I'm in California, and 20 degrees Celsius is the average, maybe 29 degrees Celsius on the higher end. And I've seen PLA warp, but only when it's like really thin. I made a big sword one time and I left it in the car and it warped. But thoughts for sure. Thoughts for sure. Um, where was I? Yeah, I think that's about it. This is just me talking for a little bit about the project that I'm making. I'm gonna see I'll look into designing other stuff. And I mean part of the reason I did this by myself is because like I could just go over here, and find something, but then I feel bad because like I'm stealing somebody's work and then selling it. So I designed it myself, and it's ugly and it's stocky, but what can I say? I like it. Oh, I added a notch in here too to catch the cable for the actual charger. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. Sorry if the audio is weird. It's been a minute since I did something like this. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.